So we're hearing about so much stuff. It's all piled on top. There's earthquakes, mudslides, murder hornets. So how can you, it's so much stimulus coming in. How can we, with prepping, that's great. So that kind of helps with panicking. What are some other things that you think pop up? Because like every time you see a disaster movie, it is people running around and in the streets and overturned cars and doesn't make any sense. So what are some other things that kind of pop to your mind that kind of can stave off that kind of stigma around disasters?
Yeah, so unless you've actually been through a disaster yourself, the idea that you have about what happens when there is a disaster usually comes from what you see in the news and then also what you're seeing in kind of these big Hollywood disaster films. And what we know from research is that the way that human behavior is depicted in media, in disaster movies, isn't quite what actually happens in real life. So there's this kind of stereotype that people are running around panicked, chaos, everyone's looting, there's rampant crime. And in about 50 years of disaster research, we found actually it's the opposite. People behave in really pro-social ways, meaning they're helping one another. You are more likely to be rescued by a family member or a neighbor in the midst of a disaster than you are any kind of formal responder. Because when that earthquake happens, when that disaster happens, the people around you immediately start trying to do search and rescue, trying to help you. So kind of contrary to this myth that there is mass chaos and anarchy, we actually see people come together to help one another.